Sports Counterpoints podcast. I'm GB, Coop, Brian. This is our chance to talk sports. Check in with y'all. We appreciate you for listening. Check us out on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Fellas, we back at it. What's happening?
What's going on?
We're good, man. We tired, done traveled, but we need some G's up in here, man. We make it
Yeah,
happen.
the
We
both of
make it
y'all.
happen.
I guess me too, lightweight. But
We
yeah,
make it
so
happen.
it's October 27, 2022. So today we're doing some early NBA observations, including the Warriors and the Lakers. And we'll talk about the NFL as well the last week, and looking forward to this week. So just starting with the NBA, man. Let's start with kind of what are your early observations, and then we'll get into Lakers and Warriors at the end. What are you guys thinking? Have you watched any games? Are I know you guys are talking about Minnesota and a couple other teams. What do you think so far?
I'll just go through two before Brian goes through a few. Just the Utah Jazz right now. Everybody said they were tanking, trying to lose games. Well, it doesn't seem like that right now. They're 4-1. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be sustainable or they're going to a playoff spot or whatever. But for a team that's supposed to be tanking, they're kind of coming out the gate pretty fast at a 4-1, sitting at the top of the Western Conference standings with the Trailblazers. And then the Warriors. I've watched a few Warrior games. I think three out of the four. And I
Hmm.
noticed that they haven't really came out on ring night. They didn't actually play great on ring night, but they played better than the Lakers, which isn't really saying much these days. But
Exactly.
but the energy that they came out with energy against the Lakers. They haven't came out with that same energy in the other three games. Now they're 2-2 right now, and it just seems like right now they're probably going through the motions. I mean, we've seen the Warriors do this and then turn on late in the season, so this might happen. But I just noticed that ever since ring night, the Warriors haven't really came up with the same energy and passion for these games. Those are a couple observations I've seen. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, on the Warriors, they've lost to the two good teams and beat the two bad teams in the Lakers and the Kings, right? So they really haven't been able to show very much or put much together. On the Utah Jazz, I still think that the intention was to tank and to trade away the players and put them in a position to get in the Wimbayama or whatever his name is lottery. But the problem is that the players aren't in on it, and they're playing pretty well. I mean, they're boxing above their weight class, and look like a real playoff team. Uh, we'll probably talk a little bit more about the Lakers in a minute, but they look awful. We knew that they were awful. I think one of the most interesting observations for me has been the Clippers, because there were so many teams that had so many people who had them as a top three in the West team this year. They wouldn't even be in the playoffs right now. They have a losing record at 2-3, and they just this whole having Kawhi Leonard come off the bench thing is just such an awful idea. And the only two people that they've beat, similar to the Warriors, are the Lakers and the Kings. They've lost twice to the Thunder and once to the Suns. You can't be losing to the Thunder and think that you're going to be a championship contender. That's one of the observations that I think is just kind of most amusing. I obviously do not like the Clippers in any way, shape, or form, but I got to listen to so many people talk about how they're so much better than the Lakers, and they're going to be a championship contender, and the Lakers are going to be garbage. And I said, look, we agree on half of that. The Lakers are going to be garbage, but when it comes to the Clippers, they've proven time and time again that they're just not that team. And they've done it so far early this season. Now, do I expect them to get back in playoff contention? Absolutely. But do I expect them to win a championship or be a viable contender? No. And you can't have your top guy come off the bench if you're going to, be able to get the kind of play and build the kind of team that you need to build to win a championship. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving to the Eastern Conference. You know, I just find I don't know why I find myself laughing at this team, just enjoying their misery. But it's the Nets. They're 1-4.
Yeah, they
I
just lost
know.
today to Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I know that. Me. I know Brian. Me and you. We were never a buyer of them, even when they had Harden. It's just funny how
Especially when they
Brooklyn.
had Harden.
Yeah, it's just funny that Brooklyn just acquires a collection of players, and then all of a sudden, and a rookie coach or a guy who really has no coaching experience in Steve Nash and just thinks it's supposed to work. And of course, my personal feeling, anytime Mike D'Antoni's affiliated with your team, you're never going to win a championship. And he's an assistant coach for Steve Nash. So but anyway, I just found that. But also what I found a little bit surprising is the 76ers are also 1-4 as well. And I always expect them, to make the playoffs. And then because they got hard now, I expect them to flame out. But they usually don't really start this bad at 1-4. So that's also a surprise as well. Any surprise in the East for you, Brian?
I think you hit the nail on the head right there, right? The Brooklyn Nets obviously being 1-4 and Philadelphia being 1-4. Those are teams that other people expected to do well. I didn't think that the Brooklyn Nets would be this bad, but they don't look good at all. And the Simmons fiasco is just getting worse and worse by the day. I mean, now
Plays good
people are
defense.
reporting that he's literally not going to the basket and not shooting because he's afraid of getting fouled. And so defenses are kind of just saying, let him do whatever you want to do. He won't shoot because he's afraid of getting fouled. When you're that far into someone's head, it's time to take a seat. And yeah, Glenn, you mentioned that he plays solid defense.
Yeah, he played good defense in the game I watched.
Yeah, you cannot give that much time to a player who you can literally is a gap on the court where they absolutely widen. He airballed a layup tonight. He airballed a layup. That is not a basketball player that should be considered, good at anything. I mean, you airball a layup, unless your name is Joseph Morey, you should be able to at least hit rim. He's 5 and at about 2 feet tall.
And I told you guys, he's trying to be the only player to make $100 million in basketball by not actually playing. I think he's trying to get himself benched so he doesn't have to play. So,
well, he was
he's
playing
on his way.
defense and
wants
looking
it.
for KD. His game plan I was watching is play defense and turn around away from the basket, like boop, boop, hand it off to whoever's to Kyrie or KD.
Yeah.
But the
On the
defense and the
positive-
rebounding was working.
On the positive side of the Eastern Conference, you have the Milwaukee Bucks looking like they're ready to go and make another run at a championship, playing very good basketball. I think they're they are the only undefeated team. And then the Boston Celtics looking like they are going to be a challenger. I'm not suggesting that they're going to win.
That's impressive with everything that happened this offseason. That's
and
impressive.
That's exactly right.
Well,
it's very, very impressive. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks who are 2 and 3 in the East right now. They'll come back down to earth. They might make the playoffs in the bottom end of that, but I don't expect them to be a top 4 seed by the time it's all done. But it's been impressive to see them with their young guys, be scrappy. And I've actually watched a couple of their games as a casual observer. But the Boston and Milwaukee look like the class of the East. And there's some other teams that are going to have to get in there. But when you have Brooklyn, Philly, and Miami, 3 teams that almost everybody thought were going to make the playoffs and possibly be a top 4 or 5 seed, not out of a playoff picture and have losing records this early in the season. It's amusing to watch, I guess I should say.
Yeah, the Celtics are by far the deepest team, but their issue is who's going to be that go-to guy in the playoffs to hit that big shot. That's always been an issue. They have a ball handler in Brogdon, but I think he has an injury history. But we'll see how that plays out in the playoffs. But they do have the deepest team. They have a collection of guys that can get it done. But playoffs usually comes down to situational basketball, a couple baskets, who can make it, who can't. And I'm not sure if they got the best guy for that. I think Milwaukee does. I think the Warrior has that person, but I'm not sure about Boston, but we'll see.
Definitely.
We'll see.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got go
Milwaukee.
ahead.
Wait, but on the Milwaukee comment, though, why do they have that guy?
Milwaukee.
Giannis misses more free throws than he shoots. If you want down the stretch, you've got to get the ball out of his hands. And
Chris Middleton during that championship run. I'm not saying Chris Middleton is the man like that, but during that run, he surprised the hell out of me making those clutch shots. But we'll see.
I have no argument against Chris Middleton. I think he's a very good basketball player.
Right.
But I think when you say they have that guy, they're thinking of their best player, and that's Giannis.
Yeah.
I don't think he's.
No, I don't think Giannis is.
He doesn't have the kind of comfort he needs to have in those situations.
So when I say that guy, and I know you guys have been watching basketball for years, that guy doesn't always. I think Jordan messed it up for everybody, thinking the best guy has to always take the last shot, and that's not always the case.
Well,
Sometimes
even
like a
with
guy.
Jordan,
Well, yeah, he
Paxson
passed off a couple
or
times.
Kerr,
I guess what I'm thinking about, Brian, is when they had Pippen and Jordan wasn't there, and Kukoc hit 6 game winning shots, and Pippen was upset he didn't get the ball. It's like Kukoc is not a better player than Pippen,
yeah.
but he's a better
Well,
shooter.
Win
You
the
know what I
game.
mean? So you got to
You
step up,
play
got
to
to
win
win
the
the
game.
game. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
but that was why Pippen could never be anything other than the number 2 guy.
well, he had no, but people don't understand this. He had chances. He's just missed those
Yeah,
game winning shots. People never seen those replays because he didn't make them, but he's had chances. He just missed them. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
but yeah,
happened.
Are you guys so I mean we kind of bounce around, which I think are some good quick observations. We'll see where the season goes. As far as the Lakers, because we're Laker fans, um, what what
what
B, I'll
what?
pose the question to you first. So you go ahead.
Well, I mean, the only time that they've looked competitive was when Russell Westbrook isn't on the court. I think
they
the
lost
one
with
year
him,
that
lost without him, can't win with him, can't win without him,
yeah, but
can't win.
they actually looked like a basketball team. I mean, they actually showed some fight, they showed some heart. I think having somebody like Russell Westbrook on your team um, really, really just kills the enthusiasm. So people were talking
Poor
about how
guy.
he's lost his enthusiasm to try hard and go out there
Yeah,
when he is supposed to be a superstar basketball player, and he's not even a situationally intelligent player. Down by up by 1 with 30 seconds left, and he goes over and shoots a long 2 with 14 seconds on the clock. That's that is ridiculously silly. That's a dumb thing to do for a even average NBA basketball player to not understand the situation when you're up in that situation to not shoot and to have I think 4 made baskets on a season is just pathetic. But take and put him aside. I'll let Jason talk more about Russell Westbrook later.
No, no,
Uh,
nope.
the Lakers have got to figure out what kind of trade makes them a better basketball player. It's obvious that if they want to try and win this year, which I think that they still want to do, that they can't wait until middle of November or end of November or December
yeah,
to
you got to
make
be
the trade.
aggressive.
They've got to be aggressive because they're going to get so far in the hole that after they make the trade, they've got to build the team, they've got to build camaraderie, and see what they really have. So they've got to do it sooner rather than later. And I think they've been talking about patience, and the time is up. We know what we have. We're not going to win with Westbrook as that guy, and so we've really got to figure out what kind of trade will work because everyone's talking about how the Miles Turner trade doesn't necessarily make us better, or the Buddy Hield trade doesn't necessarily make us better because neither of them are shooters. So now
Hill
there's been a
shoots.
lot of he throws the ball up in the air, yeah,
Yeah,
but he's not
yeah. He's.
exactly a 3-point shooter.
Well, I think he leads.
Um,
He's
Who,
got some
Buddy Hield?
records. Yeah,
he's
some
in
record in
scoring,
Sacramento. Yeah.
yeah, in scoring, but we need shooters. So now there's been a lot of talk about a trade for Gordon Hayward, which is kind of
Ugh.
interesting because it's not exactly a guy, but he's a guy who can put the ball in the basket from the outside and space a little bit, and then. But I honestly don't know what the right trade is. They've got to find shooting. They've got to get it out there. And then the only thing I want to say is one thing that's kind of been positive is what is it, Lonnie Walker the fourth? He's been kind of a bright spot. I mean, he's averaging somewhere around 18 points. He is shooting in some nights the best scorer on the team from by percentage, and um, it's if there's anything positive to take away, it looks like you might have found a guy that can sit in that shooting guard or guard spot with LeBron and AD with the rest of the guys. So you know where your bigger holes are, right? It's wherever Westbrook is, and a shooter.
Oh man,
Go on,
I don't
go
like
go
Gordon. I
sing
don't.
go sing rainbows about Westbrook now.
No, no, that's what I won't do. I don't. I'm not a Gordon Hayward fan, but what I know is about the Lakers,
Yeah,
I don't know, the few quarters I've watched them, I just don't like the roster. I just think it's devoid of talent, to be honest with you. I know I mentioned Kendrick Nunn. I know I wasn't trying to pick on him, but it's just like, man, when they Warriors cut him from the G League, and then Pat Riley gives you away, it's kind of an indication this guy's not really that good, but he's on our roster. So I'm thinking I actually want this to happen. I said a couple years ago that Anthony Davis contract is going to be bad, towards the last half of that contract. And so I would trade Westbrook and get some pieces. I would trade Anthony Davis. I know it's not going to happen, at least the Anthony Davis part, but I would, to try to get some talent on the roster, because right now this roster isn't going to is nowhere close to competing for a championship. And it looks like if things keep going the way they are, they won't even complete for a playing game. So that's what I would do. But I know the Lakers won't do that. But I kind of wish they did, just to get some fresh blood, new players on our roster, and some talent and shooters, as you mentioned as well, Brian.
It's ugly. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I still feel the same as I did previously about the hoop season. I'll probably get more into it as it goes. I did watch the Nets game today though. I did watch the Warriors Denver game. We watched part of the Warriors in Phoenix the other night. So I mean, it's on and it's there, but it's still football. Additionally, right before we get into football, World Series is kicking off too. So you got Houston versus Philly. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if you guys had any quick thoughts on World Series right before it gets started tomorrow.
Philly's got hot. Philly, I didn't expect Philly to make it to the World Series. Houston Astros is not a huge surprise. They took out the Yankees.
Yep.
Thank you. My bad, Dread, but thank you. Don't like the Yankees, but yeah, Philly. You almost want to root for Philly, to win. I'm not an Astros guy. Sorry for people who are from Houston. I kind of want the Phillies to win because it's just unexpected. And I think it's just a good story. You can have that in baseball if you get hot at the right time. You can put something together, a streak together, and perhaps win. So I think I'm going to be rooting for Philly. I think they're probably the underdog. I haven't checked the line. I'm assuming the Astros are the favorite. But is Dusty Baker the
Yes, he
the
is.
manager? Okay, I might have to root for Houston then for Dusty. Yeah, I'm gonna
Yes,
have to
he
root for
is.
Dusty. Okay. What about you, B?
Yeah, I don't root for the Astros. I don't root for the cheaters like that. But I will root for Philly. I do think that they're a good story. Another good story was San Diego. I couldn't really root for San Diego just because they obviously took out the Dodgers. And it's been fun to watch what Philly's done. I think watching Bryce Harper kind of be able to prove a lot of doubters over the last couple of years because he forced his way out of Washington's been interesting. And this is a good storyline one way or the other. But yeah, I would root for Philly. I do think they are the underdog. But I do think that they have a puncher's chance. And so, with baseball, as much as any sport, what you do at the beginning of the season means so little because it's such a long season and such a long playoff that it's just a matter of getting hot at the right time. Philly's done that, and so why not them?
Yeah. They another note, I was just reading about this too. I was just going to throw out there that this is right now for the first time since 1950 that there likely won't be a single American-born black player on either roster.
Oh, damn.
So just,
Mm.
if it's just
Well, that's been a
baseball's
problem for baseball for a while.
absolutely.
Is they see melanin and they think that a lot of people think. I'm not saying who they are, but a lot of people think that that's representative of black people. But that's not necessarily the case. A lot of them are darker Latino players,
Right.
and they're some of the best trained players in the world. But it would be nice to have some level of representation in the series.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if that speaks just to what baseball means to the country or just, less black dudes are
It's
playing or whatever it
access. I
means.
mean, if for I know some people who are really into baseball for their kids and whatnot, and it's becoming more and more inaccessible unless you have money.
Yep.
The way that the athletes train all the way from really young ages. They're hiring batting coaches when they're younger. Their batting practice costs a lot of money. Travel teams
Travel
cost them,
baseball.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
cost
Yeah.
a ton of money.
Yes.
It's you're spending one weekend in Arizona, another weekend in Texas. They're going to Chicago, and I'm not talking about 16, 17, 18 year olds. I'm talking about 5, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 year olds that you've got to spend all of this money to travel all around to put them in a position to compete with all these other kids. And that's just not necessarily feasible at every part of the socioeconomic scale. And it's an unfortunate reality that that makes it inaccessible to a lot of
let's just
folks.
let's just say it. That's why a lot of black kids don't play baseball. I mean, that's just how it
Can't
is. It's the
play
can't.
baseball.
Yeah, and it's like it's the not only the money that in the travel baseball that Brian mentioned, but just the programs within where a lot of black people live. They just aren't there.
They're not
So
there, and
they
they're
have to
not
go out other
competing with.
places. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not able to compete. If you look at the Little League championships, which are
Yep.
actually kind of fun, the Little League World Series.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Mhm.
But it's a very very lackluster. If you're looking for melanin, it's not a lot of it.
Yeah.
It is just more difficult to get those players to get a quantity of those players in those leagues.
And then and last point to this, and then you don't really start out in the majors. You start in rookie. You got to go to the minor leagues, single A, double A, triple A. So you don't really make it to the majors. You got to kind of go.
Yeah,
It's like it's just a climb.
it's a really really hard sport to
Yeah,
get on.
it's a climb. Yeah, and it's like
But
so
and
when
you
people like Kyler Murray choose football over baseball, I'm like, duh, you're the
but
first
they don't.
round pick, and there's no minor league football. You start right in the NFL, unlike the baseball. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and there's no pickup baseball games. You're not
right,
going over to the park and able to get in a game on a Saturday, and
right.
you have to be part of the institution of these travel leagues and whatnot.
Sure.
The
Yep.
Just
days
I
of being
guess
able to go and get enlisted in t-ball and that be good enough, or whatever bantam leagues or whatever they call them these days. It's tough.
Yeah.
yeah. It doesn't seem like it's as popular either. I mean, amongst the sports, it doesn't have the same popularity. Probably much to what you guys are saying, but also just even in those areas where those kids would have access, I just see like for the kids I know ages, it's just baseball is not high on their list.
Right. Right.
They'd rather play football, they'd rather play basketball or soccer even. So yeah, just want to mention that quick point there. Cool. Hockey season's underway also. So we were talking about that a little bit. So definitely be on the lookout for sports fans. You got,
Go Kings
hockey in full
go.
swing. Yep.
Hey,
Uh,
well, hey, who won the game between the Sharks and the Flyers?
I don't even know, man. I was actually trying to get us to go to the game against Las Vegas the other night, but um,
I'm about to check right now. Hold
yeah.
on. Oh,
So
San Jose won. Yeah, it's good we didn't go. Okay. All right. San
yeah,
Jose.
they've been yeah.
San Jose beat the Flyers 3-0. So yeah,
I'm about to say I
it's
think they
good.
won most of the games we went to, but yeah. So hockey's underway. Baseball playoffs are underway. We talked about basketball, football. So last week,
Oh,
uh, man, I'll start. Go up around. Raiders get a win they're supposed to get. They played better into the second half. They look solid going forward. Defense can be better, but they make some key stops. Offense is looking a little bit better. Josh Jacobs is a monster. O line is blocking and looks like they're coming together. We'll see. We have a game against the Saints this week, which is another potentially winnable game. It's not going to be easy, but I think we could be trending in the right direction and also getting a little bit of help in the schedule. So if you guys have notes on the Raiders, cool. Otherwise, let's get to your teams.
Raiders had a bye week last week, so I really have no notes for that. They covered the spread though, which is good.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
we got
7.
they
So
got a
thank you for my league purposes.
pick at the end.
No, I'll just start with the 49ers. I think we all had this. I mean, we didn't believe in
Yeah,
that 2-point, 3-point, 1-point spread. I know my team. I was expecting a loss, and Mahomes is my fantasy football quarterback. So if we're going to
it's
lose, you might as
crazy.
well just run it up so I can try to win. Um, you know, I told you guys last week the whole Christian McCaffrey thing. I like him as a player, and I think it would help if we had a better quarterback and a coach to kind of open up the offense, but it doesn't mean anything to me. It was, surprisingly, a lot of 49er fans thought the same way as me. Of course, you got some, Garoppolo, supporters and everybody and Shanahan supporters and think, they're whatever. It's great. But most of us, I would say 85, 90% of us we weren't impressed. It's like, okay, we got him, but what are we going to do on offense to score points? And I know, Brian, you sent something out that says Shanahan is 1-30 when going into the fourth quarter by, losing by 3 points or more. And this guy is
Yeah,
supposed to be a
3 points.
genius. Yeah. I mean, it's just three. I
Three
mean,
points.
and the thing is, as a 49er fan, I watch all these second halves. It's like the 49ers
right.
look the best in the first quarter. That's when they score and everybody thinks they're going to do something. And then they make adjustments on Garoppolo and Shanahan. And then second half is just boring. It's just bland.
Well,
I mean, the thing is, the Kansas City won. They should have won. Yes, our defense is decimated, but you still got to put up points, and you have to know when you're playing against Mahomes, you can't settle for field goals. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I'll say is I'm not a Garoppolo fan, never have been, as we've talked about numerous times. But it's hard to. I think the stat that I gave you proves a little bit that it's not Garoppolo's fault.
Not
I
all.
mean, that 130 is not
Yeah.
with Garoppolo as quarterback.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
with a variety of people as quarterback.
Yep.
There's a flaw in the system that the 49ers are running, or the coach is unable to make in-game adjustments because if what that means is the second half of games, teams make adjustments in the locker room at halftime. Those adjustments need adjustments to be made on the fly in the second half, and the 49ers are unable to do it. Yeah, we all knew that the Chiefs were going to blow the doors off of the 49ers. We talked about that spread. I said this is not going to be one of these 10-point wins. This is going to be a bigger than that, and it was. So whatever. We'll see how they bounce back if they bounce back. I do think, I don't know if we're going to talk about it yet, but I get a little chuckle out of Seattle, whom both of us thought were going to be just awful this year, leading the NFC West with Geno Smith at 4-3.
Yeah, expect their offensive coordinator to get a job as a head coach next year because he's rejuvenated Geno Smith's career and made Seattle viable this year. So
well, he's found a way to win with what he's got, and there's a lot of young teams that don't have the super talented roster that can use somebody who knows how to work with what they've got, and it's a big deal because you don't always get Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Julio Jones, all these other guys. You don't always get to go into situations like that, and a coach who's shown that they can take Geno Smith and Ken Walker, who's a rookie who's showing a lot of promise, and a couple
drafted well
talented
too.
wide receivers.
Yeah, their last draft has been
yeah
key. That last draft they've been instant contributors.
Who Seattle? Oh yeah, they got 6 rookies starting playing.
Yeah,
but
they're not just playing, like they're playing well. So
they're playing good, yeah. And the guy named the offense coordinator, his name is Shane Waldron. He was with the Rams last year, and now he's with Seattle. And I expect him definitely to get a job somewhere.
They looked they're looking all right. So you got that Vikings and Dolphins. Vikings win again, man. Just dominating all the time.
Them first place division leading.
Right?
And gonna be division winning Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, well, this past week they had a bye, so the Dolphins was the game a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, hey, division leading,
and they have what the 10th easiest schedule.
Hey, you play who's in front of you.
No. I said they have let me finish. They have the 10th easiest schedule to finish off the rest of the season, which puts them in a very good position to hopefully win some games. They'll probably lose to the good teams that they play, but they don't play that many of them, and that gives them an opportunity to get in the playoffs and hopefully do it. Now, look, I actually think that this game against the Cardinals is going to be tough for them. The Cardinals are back and healthy. D Hopkins is back. That offense that looked pretty awful before, looks like they had signs of life. They play the Bills and the Cowboys in back-to-back weeks. Those could be some tough games. But I will now submit that it seems obvious that there's nobody in the NFC North that is likely to win enough games to take over first.
Green Bay is
Green Bay is having a lot of problems.
And people were talking about their defense schedule. As well.
There were a lot of teams that were on the Vikings schedule who were supposed to be decent football teams, and none of them are.
Yeah, if you look at Green Bay's schedule and who they played, all these sorry quarterbacks they played, except Kirk Cousins, like not sorry, but the rest of them have been.
No, he's sorry.
And Green Bay is still only 14th in the NFL in defense, and they're last according to advanced metrics against the run. And Washington plus the 5.5 last week did me good. I didn't think they were going to win.
And now their wide receiver, their best wide receiver is hurt. So
who's their best wide receiver? Dukes of Hazzard?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Alan Lazard.
Okay, yeah, him. Yeah. And so check this out. I don't know if you guys watched that New England game against the Bears, but
I did. I
had
to. It was a Monday night.
Because I want to I'm going to pat myself in the back real quick. I put Justin Fields in as a bye week replacement for Kirk Cousins against
And
Dread,
one.
High Dread,
Sure.
and won handily behind Justin Fields, who I figured would have a good matchup and score a couple touchdowns, which is what he did.
Yeah.
So I
It
watched
was
that game.
it was kind of I don't know about you guys. I've never seen Bill Belichick lose like that. I mean, he was dominated in all facets of the game, and I've actually just never seen that before. You know,
Yeah.
and then
I,
on the flip side, Chicago, this is going to be Chicago's offense for the rest of the season. I'm not saying they're going to score like this, and I'm not saying they're going to be good, but this is their they figured out what Justin Fields is. They're like, look, this guy isn't good in the pocket, so we're gonna get some RPOs in here, and we're gonna have him some design runs because that's going to be his game. Because in the pocket, it's not going to work. So that's what they did. He was
Well,
only 13 for 21, but
Montgomery
he
is a
did what he did.
great running back. He is so underappreciated. He's been good for years, and he always gets them down to the down close to the goal line. I was actually at the house with a Bears fan for a brief moment, and the guy, Montgomery got him all the way down there, and I said, "Okay, and this is where Justin Fields runs it in." He goes, "Oh no, they're going to give
Hmm.
him the ball again," and he runs an end
Yep.
around and gets in there.
Yep.
Uh, Montgomery is not a slouch. And when you
No.
have a running game, you have a quarterback who can run and a good running back, you've seen teams like what Lamar Jackson's been able to do in Baltimore with the battalion of running backs that they have to use that can sometimes stay healthy. That's how you have a really good running game, and it makes it hard for teams to catch up
Yeah.
when you get
Yeah.
ahead.
And Mooney's not a bad receiver as well. But and the
No,
Bears
he's
just
not.
traded
yeah.
Robert Quinn for a fourth round pick,
Saw
which is
that.
actually smart because the Bears need players. They need draft picks. They need players. And Robert Quinn's not having a great season, but he should be able to
He's a
help,
solid
Philly
player,
out here or
very
there.
solid player.
Yeah, he's a solid player. Yep. He should
Yeah.
be able to
Good for
help
the
out.
Eagles. Yeah.
Yep.
Good for both sides. Was there any other games last week that you guys were really intrigued by?
I laughed at the Jets in Denver because Denver lost again. But I think the only other game I would say a little something about, since he was my biggest game last year. I'm wrong on Jacksonville. They're 2-5 and lost to the damn Giants. Jacksonville just shoots themselves in the foot. That's why they lose all these games. But also, I think that the luster has gone off the Detroit Lions. They're 1-5 now. They got blew out by the Cowboys. Anytime Detroit plays a good defense, you're going to have to kind of fade Detroit. And
They
so,
also have a lot of important when they're not deep enough to be able to sustain injuries like some
mm,
other teams. They had some really talented players in Amon Ross St. John and
St. Brown.
St.
St.
Brown.
Brown
Yeah.
and Swift and so they're just not deep enough that when those guys get injured, it's a next man up. Whereas some other teams are supposed to be deep enough, and I look at the 49ers when I say that that they can sustain some injuries. Now, y'all have had tons of them, but
Yeah.
Baltimore is super injured. Matter of fact,
They
Baltimore in the
stay
course
injured.
of tonight's game lost Andrews, lost
Oh,
Bateman,
Mark Andrews got hurt. Yeah.
got hurt in the first half, didn't
That's
come
their
back in the
passing
second
game.
half.
Okay.
Yeah. What is it? Bateman, their
Yep.
best wide receiver, got hurt
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, he
And
Gus
sucks.
Gus Edwards
Gus
got
Edwards.
hurt again.
Gus Edwards always gets hurt, but yeah.
But yeah, but he came in and he was playing really well. And they were able to employ a next man up strategy. They brought Kenyon Drake back in. They brought Hill back in and had a good solid running game. And then Isaiah Likely, the tight end,
He likely did what?
he likely caught a touchdown pass.
Oh,
Sure did a
okay.
nice one
Uh,
too. Nice one
yeah,
on the
nice
back of
one,
the end
nice
zone.
play, and he was quick to say, how appreciative he was of all the work that Andrews puts in with him to have made him a better tight end. So, but anyways, the good teams, that's the difference, right? There's so many injuries in the NFL. The difference between good teams and bad teams is the ability to sustain a few injuries, not critical injuries. Now, if Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson goes down, call the season over. If
Yeah.
Brady goes down, you call the season over. There's certain critical ones, but when it comes to the whole team, you have to be able to sustain some injuries. By example, the Bengals just lost Jamar Chase for 46 weeks, which is just
Mm-hmm.
beyond depressing for a lot of reasons, including my fantasy teams. But 4 to 6 weeks losing someone like that. But I suspect that the Bengals will be able to
Oh yeah.
work through that because they have guys like T. Higgins And
Oh,
there's other
boy.
opportunity. Yeah, they have other guys who can step up. Detroit doesn't have that kind of depth. They got one really good wide receiver. They've got one pretty good running back, and a lot of heart.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I think the only other thing I was looking at last week, Buccaneers got smoked by the Panthers last week.
Oh, that was
Brady
yeah,
losing to all these XFL team
Yup,
that's 2 weeks in a row.
man.
yep,
Yeah,
get
he lost
smoked.
to XFL
That
quarterback.
was they scored 3 and Carolina's trying to lose too. They're trying to get rid of
Absolutely.
players, and the players
They
are
got rid of
like,
everybody.
right. And the players are they're probably gonna trade somebody else because they keep winning. Oh, and they fired their defense coordinator 2 weeks ago. He was defensive, they fired him. He was the best thing about the team. And they fired him. They said, you know what, man, you
You
doing
might
too
you might
good.
you might do something sneaky and have us win something.
All right,
Those
right.
And
yeah,
then
those teams
yeah.
are dangerous because they try to do that with the Dolphins when Flores was
And
there. Those teams are
and
dangerous.
despite of all that, Tampa Bay is still the favorite to win
Right.
the NFC
And
South.
they have the worst record in division at 3-5 right now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
the rest of the
Yep.
NFC South ain't nothing to talk about. So I get that. I think that was kind of it. Giants are still rolling, still winning. I think that's
Jets are still rolling.
That team,
yeah. New
man.
York is going. All of New York is rolling. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, all three teams
But
are
it's
solid.
it's different
Yeah,
philosophies though, because the Jets don't want their quarterback to throw. They don't want him to
that's
throw.
fine.
But the
They
New
want
York
him to
Giants,
throw in situations, but now that Bryce Hall is out for the season, they're absolutely going to have to depend
They picked
on.
up James Robinson. So
shit,
I
I
know they
don't
picked
think
up James,
so.
I'm a
yeah,
huge lover of James Robinson, have been for the last 2-3 years, but it's Bryce Hall was a superstar in the making, and they've got they got Garrett Wilson, they've got lots of talent,
oh
but
yeah,
they're gonna have to. Wilson is going to have to step up
He's gonna
if
have
they're
to step
going to
up.
be able to sustain sustain the
Yeah,
injury to
he's
someone like Bryce Hall.
he's gonna have to win a game with passing some sooner or later. Yeah.
Yeah,
Another
he may
game.
not have to do it every week, but he's going to have to do
Right.
it at some point.
What surprised me is I've never seen Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers be a 12-point underdog ever.
and
And I think
lost.
Was that this week?
against Buffalo, and I think Buffalo's going to cover the spread and kill them in Buffalo. I
Oh,
really
I agree
do.
with you on that.
I think they're going to crush Green Bay.
We've talked about this, I think, every week. Nobody knows how to run up a score like the
Yeah,
Buffalo Bills.
yeah. Once they get up on
Nobody
you,
does.
it's a wrap.
It's
Once
a
they get up
wrap.
on you, it's a wrap. They're just going for the
Yeah, they
jugular. Yeah,
never they don't change the offense. They don't
right.
start. And here's part of the reason why. Their running game is so bad that they can't do the whole I'm going to run the ball for the second
Yep.
half and just protect the score.
You figured that out.
They're so bad that they have to keep they still have to keep throwing.
Yeah.
And which is what they're great at.
And yeah, and see, a lot of people haven't figured that out that you have, but just like when people say how the 49ers receivers always lead the past couple of years, lead the league in yards after catch, it's because Jimmy throws behind the line of scrimmage and the receiver has to do everything to go get yards. That's why they lead the league in yak. It's not because Jimmy is throwing in an area to where they can get it and then do some run for touchdowns. He doesn't do that. So you figured that out. That's right. That's correct. They can't run, so they got to keep passing.
Yeah,
Yep.
tough. Looking at the schedule, I mean, our teams, Niners got the Rams in LA, the
So who's going to win
Vikings.
that? Niners Rams.
Oh, I'm gonna take the Niners because, like I said, they always
Yeah,
seem
they
to
always
find a way
beat
to
the
beat them in the
Rams.
regular seasons. I mean, it's 6, 7, 8 straight, whatever.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm just going. And the Rams only have one receiver right now. They got Cooper Cup. So hey, is it true that KC got Odell? Is that really a real thing?
No.
So no,
No. Okay.
there was a whole bunch of reports that he was going to sign there, and then instead they didn't, and they signed Kadarius Toney.
I saw that.
This whole part is for you, and so they got Kadarius Toney. The idea being that OBJ is still not ready to play, and
Okay.
so it's kind of hard to sign him right now.
Yeah.
Who's starting for the Indianapolis Colts? I just heard Matt Ryan got benched. I have no idea who the backup is.
What is it? Ike
Sam Erlinger or something?
Yeah,
Something
From
like that.
Sam
Texas?
Erlinger.
Oh, from Texas. I didn't know he even made the league. Okay. All
Yep.
right.
Good. We play them.
And they really like him. The coach
Really?
was gushing about him, saying, "Look,
Okay.
we thought he's something special. We were trying to find we knew at some point in time he would get a shot.
Yeah.
And we've now decided this is the time." And Matt
Sam
Ryan was
Ehlinger.
apparently said he was shocked when he found out that they were going away from him.
Damn, I did
He's
not
been
know that.
Yeah, that's probably good for Matt Ryan because he's been getting blown up. So he's going to be injured if he doesn't get out of there.
Well, he had a shoulder injury, but they made it clear that the reason he won't be playing is because they're benching him and they're going with Sam
That's
Irwin.
fine. When I watch the games, what I see is Matt Ryan like this with a defender under his
Look
arm
old.
every play.
He can't move. Hey, real quick, Dallas plays the Bears. We all saw the Bears just beat New England. It's Dallas minus 10.5. Who would you guys take? Chicago
Dallas.
plus 10.5? I would take Dallas too. What about you, Glenn?
10
10 and a
with
half. Yeah.
Dak and the boys at home.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say, and
especially
Dak.
losing Quinn, and what that's going to do to that team. Yeah, they're gonna probably fall.
I like from a fantasy perspective, I like any player on the Dallas team because they're going to look for opportunities to score and run it up, not because they need to, but because they need to make a point for themselves that
Yeah.
they're as good as they thought they were at the beginning of the season.
Yep. That's
Yep.
a good point.
And so this is going to be one of those we're making a statement team for ourselves type of game from the Dallas Cowboys.
Your game, Brian. Arizona, Minnesota. It's Minnesota's minus 3.5 at home. Now, when I first saw that game, I thought it was going to be a pick 'em or a Minnesota minus 1, and it's 3.5. So
Well,
that surprised the hell
that's
out of me.
because they're at home. They're at home. I think this is going to be a very tough game that's going to be very stressful for me to watch.
Aren't they all?
Because I don't, but if I have to pick a team, I would pick the Vikings because they have their pieces. The offense is starting to loosen up a little bit. They've found ways to just get above the line. Do I think that they'll cover the 3.5? Probably not. I think this is a 2 or 3 point game for them. I think they find a way to win it late by nothing completely stressing me out. But I would, if I had to take if I had to pick on the line, I would take Arizona and the 3.5 points and pick the Vikings to win, depending on how your pick 'em works.
Yeah, I'm taking Arizona plus 3.5 in my point spread league. If somebody asks me who's going to win, I don't know because in my mind this is a pick 'em game. I think either team can win, and nothing would surprise because Minnesota doesn't blow anybody out, and I don't think Arizona's all the way there yet. But DeAndre Hopkins seemed like it gave him a little bit of life last week, so
Heck yeah.
this would be a good game to watch. To be honest with you, it'll be a good
Yeah.
game to watch. Over under 49, so they're expecting a lot of points to be scored.
And I want Connor to come back for fantasy stuff, but I hope he takes this week off
I
because
feel you.
I think James Conner, in would be a very valuable player against the Vikings.
Oh yeah, I got him too. No, I feel you. Yeah. And the Raiders got the Saints.
Although Eno Benjamin is the kind of guy that can get open on a Vikings against the Vikings defense. He's quick. He's very quick.
Yeah, I think like you said, there'll be some points scored. Raiders are playing the Saints in New Orleans. I don't know what the line is because I'm just looking on the NFL website.
You
But
said Raiders? It's
yeah,
Raiders minus 2 in New Orleans.
okay.
Oh wait, it's down to a pick 'em now. Ooh,
Yeah,
pick 'em.
I could see that. I could see
Playing
that
against
based
Andy
on.
Dalton. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the
I'll
issue
take
for
Las
me is,
Vegas.
yeah, I think we win, but it's going to be like Brian said, probably it's going to be too close for another one of those games that I'm
Yeah,
used
it's
to
one and a
being
half
nervous all
points,
the
and
way.
so in a game with that low, you treat it like a pick 'em, whether they call it a pick 'em or a 0.5 or whatever. You just pick the team you think is going to win. I
and
think
run
Las
with
Vegas
that.
is the better
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, I think we win too. I'd love to
Yeah.
see him dominate, but that's just not usually what we do in back-to-back weeks. So
I,
we'll see.
I can't. Hey, check this out. So was Dennis Allen with the Raiders with this
Yeah,
Raiders team? How long ago?
he was Carr's first coach.
First
So
coach.
this was years ago then. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it's not in
like
time. Okay.
maybe
I'm
10
not sure if
years.
that plays because sometimes when defensive coaches go and other team or whatever and he play against, sometimes that makes an effect. But I just don't think Dennis Allen's that good anyway. So
Nobody.
yeah.
The only players that's still there, I think, is Carr.
Okay.
Everybody else is turned over. So
All right.
yeah. So yeah, that's I don't know if there's anything else you guys are looking forward
Well,
to from a
I do
football
think we should.
perspective this week.
I do think the Giants Seahawks game is going to be pretty good. I'll just put that out there. You got a 6-1 Giants team against an NFC West leading
Yeah.
Seahawks team,
Mm-hmm.
and Seattle is favored, which I thought was interesting.
At home, right?
Not the six, yeah, but
Yeah,
not
it's
the
at home.
6-1, not the 6-1 Giants. It's the it's the NFC West leading, but it's because the West is really bad right now. But anyways, and
12th
I would
man, and
probably
yeah.
take Seattle. But the reason I would take Seattle is I think Ken Walker is becoming that guy.
I,
He's
I,
really good.
I'm taking Seattle because the Giants have just been living off a lot of people's mistakes. I'm not sure Pete Carroll is going to allow his team to make all those mistakes at home, even though he does have a lot of young guys
A
playing.
lot of rookies.
Yeah, but I will go with Pete Carroll and see what happens. But I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to seeing Green Bay get blew out. I don't know why. I just kind of am, just to prove myself
No,
right about
I
Green
know
Bay.
yeah,
why
I'm with
I
you.
am.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it's
Uh,
for me been interesting just to see like Brady, to see uh Rodgers and some of these guys who've had all the success for all this time, like more in this kind of struggle role. And what do they do with it? Because I think it's, it's you've been on top for so long. I think it's a little easier to bounce back. But now it's, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Without all the players, what we're going to see. So
so
Yeah, I'm not even
before
sure.
we
Go
before we
ahead.
move on, I want to, Jason, I want your a point spread pick on the Eagles Steelers. So I already
They
know who's going to win it. I know the
they
Eagles are going
they
to win
play
the
each
game.
other.
They're playing this
Wait,
weekend,
don't tell
and
me what the spread is. Don't tell. Is it in Philly?
yes,
Is the line 7?
it's 11.
whoa,
Wow.
And so your reaction is the exact same one I had. Nobody's saying the Philly's not going to win.
Right.
I just think it's interesting. Mike Tomlin does not usually lose like that. He finds ways to ugly a game up so that he only loses by 3 or 6 or things like that. They gave
yeah,
him none of that credit. They think that the Eagles are going to blow the doors off of
The
them.
Eagles are overvalued. I would take Pittsburgh because, like I said last week, if you're playing a conventional offense, running the ball and stuff like that, Mike Tomlin can defend it pretty decently. If you're spreading it out and doing a whole bunch of modern stuff, he ain't good at that stuff. Philly runs the ball. That's what they want to do. I will take Pitt plus the 11 all day. I didn't even know it was that big, Brian. That's
Yeah, no,
ridiculous.
that's why I wanted to ask you that question because your
Wow.
reaction was the same as mine. I was like, that's a lot of points for that game.
Damn.
I'm not
Yeah.
nobody. I don't think anybody thinks that the Eagles aren't going to win the
Right.
game.
Right.
But I thought that 11 points seemed awfully high.
No, I will make that 7. So yeah, the value is definitely on Pitt.
nice.
Yeah.
Word up,
Tease
guys.
it
All right.
down, make some money.
Yeah. So let's see, man. That's our show for the week. Appreciate you guys for doing this as always. Minute to win it. I'm gonna just do what Coop's been doing, man. I don't have anything that's high on my mind. I'm just thankful for everybody who listens and checks us out. We
Real
appreciate your
talk.
support. Thanks for
Yep.
subscribing.
Real talk. Real talk. Same thing here. Oh, and just let you know, guys, know we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Anchor, we're on YouTube, so you can check us out on many platforms.
I'm going to say one thing, and that is forget Kanye. And you can substitute that forget for the word that I want to use, but keeping it family.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with
I'm
that,
not a
let's just
Kanye fan either.
Never was. Never
Never was.
was.
Right. Never was. Yeah.
I would love to get deeper into that topic for other reasons. He said something about Jews and everyone, and all of a sudden everyone canceled him. But he's been saying stupid stuff about black folks for years and
Yeah.
getting away with it.
Yep.
hey, that's our show. Sports Counterpoints podcast. It's October 27, 2022. We'll check y'all next time.